Welcome to the first edition of AWS Quick Start, designed to help you start or ramp up your AWS cloud journey. This is the last session in which you will focus on how to get started with real-time streaming data in under 5 minutes. My name is Naji, and I work as a solution architect helping Australian customers with their journey to AWS cloud. Today, for the next 40 minutes, I'll be taking you through how to get started with real-time streaming data on AWS. This session will give you better understanding of real-time streaming data use cases and also launching an end-to-end real-time streaming application in AWS with just under 5 minutes. We have AWS experts on hand to answer any questions you may have during the presentation. Feel free to post your question at any time in the Q&A console of this platform. So the first question you may be asking yourself is really 5 minutes. Well, the presentation is over 30 minutes long while I describe some of the concepts to you, but in reality, yes, we have shipped a number of solution accelerators which will allow you to very quickly, using your existing AWS knowledge, get started with streaming data. You can use these solutions straight away, as well as customize the solution to meet your needs. We'll start the presentation with an overview of real-time streaming concepts and related AWS services. Then you'll get to see a demo of real-time end-to-end analytics solution, which will be spun up with CloudFormation template, a service used to orchestrate AWS resources and get an end-to-end application with working dashboard in just under 5 minutes. At the conclusion of this session, I will point you to the most relevant resources, including tutorials and quick start guides associated with today's topic. With that, let's start with an overview. So what is streaming data? When I like to think about streaming data, I like to think less about the actual type of the data and more about what you do with the data. Because to me, what you do with the data makes it streaming. So for example, for old world non-streaming or batch methodology, in order to get logs into a centralized reporting system, you might be storing those logs locally on a virtual machine or perhaps on premises and saving them on disk. Then you might have some process that wakes up once every minute or once every hour that sends those logs to some centralized storage solution. After that, there will be another process that wakes up or runs every hour, do batch ETL that takes it from centrally stored data, performs a lot of transformation, and then loads it into a data warehouse for reporting purposes. Streaming is a lot different than that. And the key thing that you should think about when you think about streaming data is continuous. So instead of waking up a process to send those logs to a central system, some periodic interval, and waiting for hours and days, you'll be doing it continuously. You'll be continuously ingesting data as it is generated in real time or near real time, so sub-second or sub-minute. Think of that in your frame of your mind. You'll be processing that data continuously on the fly and performing real-time analytics, machine learning, and taking action continuously real-time. So why would you want to do this? One of the main reasons you're going to do this is that you want to capture value out of your data more quickly. The way I like to think about it is that a business report that's generated today is much more relevant than was generated last year. Taking to a more real-time scenario, being able to identify customer issues or problems immediately is much more valuable to find out after the fact. Think about your customer visited your retail, physical store, or website and then left because they couldn't find what they were looking for, or your IoT sensor indicated an issue that caused the machine to go down, and you found that out reactively instead of proactively. So streaming data is really about making timely decisions. Streaming data has a lot of common use cases, from streaming video, streaming clickstream data, streaming logs. Two of the most common that I will highlight now. First is clickstreaming data. When I say clickstreaming data, I mean capturing user behavior through clicks, either on web or mobile clients, so that it could be ingesting player behavior on your mobile game. It could be ingesting behavior about potential customers on your website. So ingesting clickstream data at very fine granularity into AWS Cloud is a very common use case using a set of AWS streaming services. The reason why that use case is very popular is because when you have thousands of users or tens of thousands of users or millions of users, you are trying to find out at a granular level what those users are doing to make optimization on your website. That's a streaming data problem. Another common and very similar use case is log data. Capturing logs from virtual machines, what's going on the business application, even consider IoT sensors, telemetry, and machine-generated data are all a streaming data problem. And if you want to capture and process it in near real time, streaming data is the right tool for you. Amazon Kinesis is a set of streaming data services on AWS. There are 4 services to cover the entire streaming data lifecycle end-to-end. We shipped Kinesis video streams at reInvent 2017, which allows you to capture, process, and store video data in real time. But today's session, the focus is going to be on the 3 data services that we have. The first service is Kinesis Datastream, which we shipped 5 years ago, is a core foundational service that allows you to capture, process, and store data streams durably. You can think it of as a pipe, where you continuously stream data into a data stream where the data is durably stored anywhere between 24 hours to 7 days. And then you have a set of applications that continuously read from the stream. So you can think it as a temporary pipe that you can write with a high volume and read with a very high volume in real time. Kinesis Datahose, the second service we launched, allows you to deliver streaming data from point A to point B without you writing any code. So it takes one of the most common streaming use cases, streaming ETL, or extract, transform, and load, and makes it super simple. The way it works is you set up a data producer to ingest data to Kinesis Datahose with a set of configuration, and then the data is batched and delivered to Amazon S3, Amazon Redshift, our data warehousing service, Amazon Elasticsearch for real-time or near real-time log analytics, and log search, and also Splunk. Kinesis Data Analytics allows you to write SQL code over the data flowing through Kinesis data streams and Kinesis Datahose. You can imagine you have a SQL query that generates a continuous metric rather than ad hoc every 5 minutes or as fine-grained as every second. The metric might be the number of visitors on your website, or it might be an average temperature of IoT sensor or telemetry data. This is great for doing things like real-time leaderboards or dashboards, like business and operational dashboards. Amazon Kinesis is a foundational service that is widely used across Amazon, and it is used for a lot of similar use cases that I brought up previously. For example, AWS Metering, the record that makes up your AWS bill, uses Kinesis Datastream as a mechanism to ingest data as their first step to centralize. It offers the very fine grain and high scale required for the first step of aggregation of your bill. CloudWatch Logs is also built on Kinesis as a transport layer and mechanism to capture high volume of data stream. So it is used both externally and internally at Amazon as a mechanism to capture high volume of data streams. These 3 services that I described can work together in a lot of different ways, and they work with a lot of other AWS services. You may have your data producer writing data to Kinesis Datastream. Kinesis Data Analytics is performing an aggregation filter or maybe doing some enrichment, and then using Kinesis Datahose to deliver the data to your data warehouse. Maybe Amazon Redshift. This flow is very, very common pattern when you are using Kinesis Datastream as a flexible way to get data into AWS Cloud. We just talked about the Kinesis data family consumers, but there are a lot of different consumers you can attach to Kinesis Datastreams. Some of them are listed on this slide. The 2 I will call out. One of the most popular way is to run custom code on EC2 is using open source library that we provided called Kinesis Client Library that solves a lot of undifferentiated heavy lifting for you, like fault tolerance, load balancing, that type of thing. It allows you to process data flowing from Kinesis stream at scale. Another option is AWS Lambda, which works great for discrete event processing, performing filtering. There's a lot of different options for you to process data of Kinesis data streams. These are a couple of them. All of these services are fully managed, scalable, and secure. The last point that I really want to bring up is cost effectiveness. When you're ingesting data real time at scale, setting a bespoke solution can become quite expensive. Amazon Kinesis Data Family Services lets you cost effectively do that. Kinesis Data Streams. It provides a lot of flexibility with getting data into a stream as well as getting data out of the stream. There are a number of data producers that can write to Kinesis data streams, everything from AWS SDK, number of logging agents, FluentD, Flume, and many others. The key to Amazon Kinesis data stream and streaming in general is that sort of one-to-many consumer model. So it's not just you could have single consumer reading of the stream. You can have many consumers reading of the stream that serve different use cases. Maybe the analytic app is producing a business report in real time. Maybe your Lambda function is triggering a business flow based off a particular event that's doing filtering and then starting off a process to change some underlying infrastructure. The key thing about Kinesis data stream is flexibility. Kinesis Data Firehose, I mentioned that this service is meant for delivery of point A to point B at high scale without you having to write any code. With Kinesis Firehose, you don't need to configure a consumer, or you don't have to write any code to read it from the stream. You set up a producer as well as a set of configuration of where and how you want the data to be delivered. We have a number of ways to ingest data into Kinesis Firehose. It has a write API. You can use AWS SDK, agents to write data into Kinesis Data Firehose. There are also many automatic ways to ingest data into Kinesis Data Firehose. CloudWatch Logs have a feature called Log Subscription, where you can essentially check a box and the data is delivered to Kinesis Data Firehose. With AWS IoT, you can set up MQTT broker and IoT rules to send the data to Firehose. There are a lot of ways to deliver data into Kinesis Firehose delivery stream. With the transformation we do in Kinesis Firehose, we also have a lot of configuration options that you can set up frequency and size of delivery. We'll also do optionally encryption and compression. Lambda integration provides the required flexibility for Kinesis Data Firehose to do simple transformation to records like converting to custom format to JSON, record enrichment, and also heavier transformation like Parquet or ORC delivery. These are columnar data format, and with this, you will see significant improvement in its query times and reduction to cost from downstream application. The final step is delivery. So you can use a data firehose that supports delivering up to 4 different services: Amazon S3, Amazon Redshift, Amazon Elasticsearch, and also Splunk. You can choose one of these destinations, and after it's set up, we'll continuously deliver data to those destinations. So imagine an end-to-end solution would be you're running the AWS Mobile SDK, which is continuously writing data to Amazon Kinesis Data Firehose. You're performing some format translation and compression and delivering it to S3 every minute. Once that pipeline is set up, it's virtually no operation for you, and there's no app for you to manage. We do it fully managed. Kinesis Data Analytics is the third service. The way the service works is you can write SQL query on data flowing through Kinesis data streams and Kinesis Data Firehose. And the typical use cases are 1. Continuous metric generation, 2. Responsive analytics. The way they differ is with the primary action you take after you compute the metric. For the continuous metric generation, the action is usually to send it to another service for storage and later analysis. So in the business metric generation, you'll typically send this to a data warehouse or a database. Kinesis Data Analytics have capabilities to aggregate, filter, and enrich the streaming data. The value of using Kinesis Data Analytics is that instead of sending those services tens of thousands or millions of data points, you're sending them 1,000 useful pieces of information. You're skipping a bunch of ETL steps, and the data is delivered to a table that's immediately available to query by application, and also users is in under minutes and under 5 minutes. with sort of a single application versus a more robust, harder to manage ETL pipeline. The second use case is responsive analytics. So instead of using primary action to store the data, the primary action is to react to the data. As an example might be to send notification programmatically to change the behavior of the machine based off a predefined matrix. We covered some internal customers that uses Kinesis. What about some external customers? And the streaming data is used pretty much across industry verticals and in a wide variety of settings. A couple of good examples here. Zynga uses Kinesis Data Analytics and Amazon Kinesis for real-time game events analytics. So on their web and mobile games, people come in and they're doing user behavior analytics, finding out what games are popular, that type of thing using Kinesis Data Analytics. Another great example is Hearst Corporation. Hearst Corporation ingests clickstream data from their website in order to deliver more effective content to the users. Hearst owns a large number of online and print publications like newspapers. When a particular article becomes popular, they promote that across all of their publications that give them popular content to more and more users. So this is an example of responsive analytics versus the primary action being just ingest and store. Netflix is using Kinesis data streams to ingest VPC flow log data. They're doing this to detect interesting things that are going on their network and their VPC. So what they have set up in their VPC is they generate the log data associated with traffic in and out of it. They use this feature of Amazon CloudWatch Log subscription to forward that data to Kinesis data streams. And from there, that's where they start their real-time analysis. We have covered Amazon Kinesis set of services and some common patterns pretty well. We have shipped a number of solution accelerators over the last 12 months, which can be found in AWS Answers. I'm now going to go to AWS Answers page and show you how do I get started with an end-to-end solution in just under 5 minutes. So now let's get started with the demo. Now I will go to aws.amazon.com/answers page. So AWS Answers is an Amazon initiative that provides clear answer to common questions about building solution on AWS. It's a great asset for you to learn about Amazon Kinesis, but honestly, we have a lot of different categories of solution, everything from security to logging, that use a set of services outside of Kinesis as well. So I would encourage you to check out there. It's a great asset for you to learn about Amazon Web Services. So now, with this page, I will go to the AWS solution subpage. As you can see here, we'll go to the real-time web analytics with Kinesis Data Analytics. So this will open up in a different page. Each solution comes with a marketing page, which describes the problem and answer, a CloudFormation template with pre-built solution, and an implementation guide to try out. And you can find also the details how to customize the solution. So within this page, I'll go and click Deploy Solution. This will take me to the implementation guide to launch the CloudFormation stack. Let's click Launch Solution. You can also choose different region. For this one, I will go to US West, Oregon. We'll click Next. I'll give it a name. Real-time analytics, giving a username, and also an email address so that it can send the password to that email address. I'll select a key pair so that I can log in to the web servers as needed. So when we are configuring this part, so it says Beacon Web Server Configuration. You can think it as your web server where application is running. Some configuration for access control and creating VPC, which is a logical network for you, you can also configure. But for this demo, we will select the default one and hit Next. So The next page will ask you to provide some details for, let's say, the key values. But for the demo, I will just select the default. The last page is review. The review is OK. I will acknowledge and hit create. So now the CloudFormation template is launching. So let's go back and look into the architectural diagram. So if I go to AWS Answer page and go to the architecture diagram, this is what we are creating. You can see the architecture diagram here. What I will do is I will open up it in a different window. So if you look into this one, this solution has 3 different parts. The first part is in the left side is the web server behind a load balancer. So it's all spinning up based on what we see how the customers are setting up their web servers. And then in the middle part where we have the logic, which is the Kinesis, and also the metrics you are generating. We also are doing machine learning in this place. And the right part, which is the login page. So we'll create a dashboard which you can log in and see all the metrics which have been generated. So if you want to try out real-time machine learning, I would say this is also a great way to do so. Each of the pieces also include best practices and various integration and monitoring steps. So let's go back to our CloudFormation page to see the completion of the package. So let's go to AWS console for CloudFormation. As you can see, the template has been completed now. So I will go inside the stack name. And this one will have an output section. With this section, you will have the link for the dashboard. And also there is a test script which you can download. And you can also generate data to your web server. And then we will use Kinesis agent to stream the data to the solution. So I will copy the test script. You can download from browser too, but for me, I will just do it from the console. So I have downloaded the script. And now this is the Python script we also provide to you. You can generate data. So we've started data generation. And now I will go to the dashboard URL, which is this one, serving from S3, and open this one up. So this will ask me for username and password, which has been sent to my email address. I have the username as demo, and then I'll put the password in. I copied it across and create sign in. So also include a workflow management so that you can change the password in your first login. You can customize it also as you wish. So I'll put the password in and click submit. So now we are actually logging into the dashboard. As you can see now, the dashboard has been created. We just started sending the data. We'll wait for the data to be generated. But what I will do now is, as you can see, there are a couple of metrics already there, like events per hour, latest anomaly, if there was any anomaly, like how many users were actually using the website, what are they doing. So now you see the data has started to generate. So this one is referrers. So this means which page referred back to this page. So as you can see, so now we have set up 1 minute so that the data is generating every 1 minute. You can go a lot less granular too. So as you can see, play videos, logins, clicks, logoffs, whatever your users are doing in your website. So you can see the dashboard has been generated just within under 5 minutes. So this is the first use case we just talked about. The second use case we talked a lot about was IoT. So for IoT, I already created a dashboard in the morning. So I've created in a different region. So I will just show you so that we can understand what the solution is actually doing. So I'll go to the page, which is real-time IoT. Same like this, from AWS Answers to AWS Console, and go to the output. And here I'll have the dashboard URL. So let's open the dashboard. I'll give username and password. So I generated it a couple of hours back. So what you will see here is the first one is the anomaly score. If there is any anomaly within the data coming in, so this is the baked-in machine learning. We're also calculating average temperature value, minimum values, and a lot of many different interesting metrics like temperature for the devices, connectivity. So the deployment is the same. It takes under 5 minutes, and I will show you this I've shown you this dashboard. Now let's go back to the presentation for the architecture and deployment details. I just showed you the second mostly use case, which is real-time IoT device monitoring with Kinesis Data Analytics. This solution is serverless and elastic. If I compare with the previous solution, the ingest mechanism is different. We are using AWS IoT Broker and IoT Rule to forward data to Kinesis Datahose and producing interesting analytics using Kinesis Data Analytics. Then the dashboard is driven off DynamoDB table, started from a website hosted in Amazon S3. What is different between these two solutions is just the type of analytics we are computing, like device connectivity. When was the last time it was online? Are there any anomalous behavior around the device? A lot of different ways to ingest data to Kinesis, and this is a very common pattern of using Kinesis for IoT use cases. This one is for real-time insights on AWS account activity. And the purpose of this is to give you useful metrics about what's going on in your AWS account. So things like what IP address they're calling my AWS services, what are the common API calls do I see, are there any anomaly on the behavior on those API calls, which you can use for either security or compliance reasons, or just generate insight into what's going on in your AWS account. The way this solution works is, first of all, the service that provides logging on all these activities is AWS CloudTrail. We use Amazon CloudWatch events to get data from AWS CloudTrail and ingest to Kinesis Datahose. We'll also attach a Kinesis Data Analytics application on that to compute a bunch of useful, interesting metrics. This would also be one of your first points for customizing the solution. For example, maybe you don't care about the broad set of AWS services we may have, but you just care about RDS. I want to know what users and IAM roles are creating RDS instances. We have set what we think are common and interesting analytics that we are computing, but this is where you customize based on your need. We then use a combination of Kinesis data stream and land the data to DynamoDB, which is a NoSQL data store, which is used to feed a real-time dashboard. And we have a dashboard that's easily customizable based on the chart.js. It's run off S3 and with very low cost. So when you click through the solution, it will automatically start ingesting data into Kinesis Firehose, and you will get a dashboard in under 5 minutes. If you have not touched streaming data before and you want to know more about streaming, this is where I would recommend you to get started, because most of you will have account activity flowing and you will get a lot of insight into the streaming. So getting started, if you are looking where to get started or get more information, the link is in the slide, links to Kinesis website. The links that we covered in the presentation, especially on the last couple of slides, are also listed here. The individual solutions are shown here again. If you are very new to this, I would recommend that you start with AWS account activity, because this will allow you to get up without writing any solution. If you're looking sort of cool factor, I would recommend you to check out AWS Big Data blog and check the monitoring, analyzing VPC network traffic. The AWS ecosystem ensures you're not alone making this journey. You have AWS support, AWS partner network, and also dedicated local AWS account team. And with that, thank you very much for your time. I hope it has been useful. As mentioned, we will be sending out an email post this session to provide you access to training and events available in Australia and New Zealand. Please take the next couple of minutes to complete our poll survey to ensure we can continuously improve and meet your needs. And remember to continue posting your questions in the console, as this will be the last session for this day.